Silence has always felt more comforting than conversation, and solitude more peaceful than company. Easter weekends used to mean noisy family dinners, packed living rooms, and endless small talk that left me drained. But this year, I needed something different, a chance to breathe without expectation, to clear my mind and just be. It wasn't premeditated. I packed a backpack on Friday night, booked a cheap motel near Pine Hollow National Forest, and told no one where I was going. Early Saturday morning, I arrived at the trailhead. The forest loomed before me, tall trees still bare from winter, letting streaks of pale sunlight fall onto the earth. The air was cold enough to sting the inside of my nose with each breath, but not unpleasant. A crisp kind of quiet blanketed everything, the kind that makes you feel like the world had paused just for you. The trail was just over 6 million easy loop, marked well, no dangerous terrain, the perfect solo hike. As I stepped onto the path, the world seemed to narrow around me. With each footfall on dry leaves and frost-hardened earth, the sounds of life cars, voices, notifications faded further. I thought of past Easters, sipping lukewarm coffee while everyone else fussed over breakfast casseroles and candy hunts. I liked those mornings well enough, but this felt more like a reset. No signal, no distractions, just me, the forest, and the low hum of nature waking up. About an hour in, the trail opened into a small clearing. Sunlight trickled through the skeletal branches, casting soft, dancing shadows across the mossy ground. That's when I saw it. A basket. It sat right in the center of the clearing, as if placed there deliberately. A simple wicker basket, the kind you'd find at a dollar store, brimming with pastel plastic Easter eggs. Some had spilled out, dotting the grass like lazy confetti. At first, I smiled. A leftover prop from someone else's holiday outing, I assumed. Maybe a family had passed through with kids, had a quick egg hunt before packing up. But something about it felt off, too neat, too intact. I approached and picked up one of the eggs. It was heavier than expected. There was a crack down the center, and when I gently shook it, something inside shifted with a dull clunk. Not candy, not a toy. A cold shiver slid down my spine. I set it back and stood up quickly, brushing off my hands like I'd touched something foul. Don't be dramatic, I told myself. Probably just someone's weird idea of fun. But even as I walked on, the image of the basket lingered. Not long after, the woods began to change, not visibly, but in tone. A subtle wrongness crept into the air like fog. I noticed a snapped branch here, a strange trail of disturbed leaves there. The wind had gone still, and even the birds seemed to have stopped their morning chatter. Then I saw him, a figure, far ahead, standing motionless between two trees. I paused. He wore dark clothing, nothing distinct, just shadowy outlines against the dappled light. He wasn't walking, not even fidgeting, just standing, facing me. "Hey," I called out, more out of politeness than fear. Maybe he was lost. No response, no wave, no nod. I squinted, but I still couldn't make out his face. Something about the stillness, it was too perfect. No human stands that still for that long. I took a step back. Still nothing. "Are you okay?" I asked louder. Silence. That was enough. My gut twisted with instinct I couldn't explain. I slowly turned and started walking the other way. Not running, not yet, but faster than before. The trail curved, and when I looked back, he was gone. I stopped again, scanning the woods. My heart pounded in my chest, but I forced myself to breathe. Maybe he'd stepped off the trail. Maybe he was just a hiker, like me, taking in the view. But no matter how I tried to justify it, the unease wouldn't leave me. I quickened my pace, boots crunching over gravel and twigs with a newfound urgency. The once peaceful trail, bathed in dappled light, now felt suffocating like a narrow tunnel carved through the trees, lined with unseen eyes. Every sound seemed amplified, every shadow deeper. Then came the rustling. It wasn't random, and it wasn't the wind. No fluttering leaves or skittering squirrel. It was rhythmic, heavy, like something walking, mimicking my steps, always a few seconds behind. I spun around sharply. Nothing. The silence afterward was almost worse than the sound itself. My breath came quicker. I tried to convince myself it was just nerves, just paranoia, but I didn't slow down. My stride turned to a power walk, and then nearly a jog. Every few steps, I looked back. The sound was still there. When I rounded the next bend, my stomach knotted instantly. It was back. The basket. Same woven handle, same soft pastels, but something was different. The eggs were cracked open now. Not gently. Either they were shattered, their jagged edges catching the light like broken glass. And inside, spilling out onto the grass, were tufts of fur. Dozens of them. Black, brown, reddish. Each rolled tightly, stuffed deliberately inside the fragile shells. It didn't look like cotton or fabric. It wasn't synthetic or fake. It looked real, raw, like someone or something had torn it straight from a living body and placed it there as a message, or a warning. A wave of nausea hit me hard. My throat tightened, bile burning at the edges. Then came the sound. Snap. A single branch broke cleanly behind me. Not the kind of sound made by something small or harmless. It was sharp, intentional. I didn't look back. I didn't want to see what was there or what might be waiting. I just ran, faster than I ever had before. I tore down the path, not caring about footing or noise. My legs burned, lungs screamed, but adrenaline kept me going. The forest was no longer a sanctuary, it was a trap. The shadows grew longer. Even though it was still midday, the trees leaned in, closer, like they were watching. The sound of pursuit was unmistakable now. Rustling, footsteps, breathing. The trail that once made sense became a blur. Every turn looked unfamiliar. My surroundings twisted in subtle ways. Was that the same rock I passed earlier? Had I gone in a circle? Then I saw it, the glint of sunlight on my car's windshield. I nearly collapsed in relief. I sprinted the last 100 feet, tears blurring my vision. I fumbled the keys, dropping them once, before unlocking the door and throwing myself inside. I slammed it shut and hit the lock. My hands trembled on the steering wheel. The forest outside looked normal again. Peaceful. Even. Like none of it had happened. But I felt it. Something had followed me. Something unseen. Patient. I started the engine and sped down the dirt road, not daring to check the mirror until I hit pavement. Even then, the forest's grip on me remained. I made it back to the motel and sat under the shower until the water turned cold. My skin felt tight, like it had absorbed something I couldn't scrub away. I didn't sleep that night. I stared at the ceiling, listening for footsteps that weren't there, imagining cracked plastic eggs and tufts of fur lying just beyond the door. The next morning, I groggily checked my phone and noticed a notification I'd missed a news article sent by a friend a few days earlier. Local authorities investigate strange animal remains found in Easter baskets along hiking trails near Pine Hollow. My stomach twisted into a knot. The article featured a photo of a basket. Same kind, same pastel eggs, cracked open. Inside were tufts of fur, eerily similar to what I'd seen. The caption beneath it confirmed my worst fear. This wasn't a one-time event. According to the report, these bizarre baskets had been turning up every Easter weekend for the past 3 years, always in a different section of the Pine Hollow trails. The authorities had no leads, no suspects, and no reasonable explanation. It wasn't some holiday prank. Something much more unsettling was going on. I sat in silence, the room suddenly colder. My memory flashed back to that unmoving figure in the woods, the sound of twigs snapping behind me, the basket reappearing, the sensation that I hadn't been alone. Note. Really. I exited the browser, deleted my history, and locked my phone. It felt irrational, but I didn't care. Something about that hike had left a mark on me. Something primal. Something that whispered I'd narrowly escaped. Something I couldn't explain. I haven't gone hiking alone since. and I never spend Easter in the woods anymore.